You know, I feel like we just see a lot of pretty women, a lot of ass.
That's facts.
I don't know if
bro.
that's where the photography
That's
space
facts.
is at. I just feel like we need to strip away the facadeness of social media. You know, like always having to be clean, always having to be like, you know, well coordinated. And it's like, no, but that's not the reality of anybody's life. You know, like the streets that you live in, they have cracks.
That's true.
You know, they have potholes. You don't always have to find the most refined, you know, backdrop in ROSEBANK for the image to be dope.
That's true.
You know, it's just like, take it as it is. Like, we need to just, and I want to go down as like an artist that told stories of happy black people in color, you know, and imagined a life of black people that was without suffering.
And you're live on Dead Radio.
Welcome to another very special episode of Dead Radio with your boy Ini, and once again we have a very, very special guest in the building. Your favorite photographer's favorite photographer, your favorite creative's favorite creative. But I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and then we're gonna get into his life journey, and you know how we do, extract those jewels for you guys to use in your everyday lives. So without further ado.
Hey, what up? It's your boy JR Ecko. I'm a visual artist, photographer, CGI artist, AI prompter, creative director, and all-around creative.
Yes, sir. Let's go. How you doing, sir?
I'm easy, pa. How are you?
Easy, man. How do you feel right now, in this second?
Healthy, happy, and alive.
I love that. I love
and excited to be living.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. How I love to begin every episode of Dead Radio is to predict the future.
Yeah.
We gotta go into the past.
Yeah.
And to find out who JR Ecko is today, we gotta start his book from page 1, right? So tell me about, where was JR Ecko born? Tell me about those early age or that early era of you being a young man. Were you running outside? Were you watching TV? Just give me context on those early years.
I grew up in Nelspruit,
Okay.
born to a principal dad and a teacher mom.
Okay.
Grew up in a very educational home, you know, and just principled, you know. From there, just kind of grew up going to, I guess, living in the township, but going to the suburb schools. So you meet the guys that are into music, the guys that are like into magazines and collectibles. So I'm like, okay, get a bit of interest there. And then at some point, my mom moves to Pretoria, and I meet now the guys that are like dissecting lyrics, you know, cutting down threads and telling you where what comes from. And I just pick up an interest in like visual arts and fashion. And that's the type of, I grew up watching a lot of cartoons and a lot of movies.
Okay, so the movies come first,
Yeah.
and then falling in love with the visual art comes
100%.
next. Okay.
Probably even music before the movies.
The
So it's music, movies, then visual
What
arts.
music are you listening to at that time? What are you being
Hip-hop.
introduced to?
Like a very big fan of
shit.
hip hop, like especially SA hip hop.
Okay.
So I'm coming up maybe like 2010, 2011. Like that's when for me hip hop kind of hits.
Also, SA hip hop is starting to
Yeah,
do
from
this.
there, like, yo, Kuli Chana, Pro Kid, aka
Mega.
KO. So that season.
Okay, you're bumping all of that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Back home, right? Mom, dad. Any of them have a creative inclination?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Like proper book bookworms. Like,
Interesting.
my dad has a master's in education. You know, my mom is like right up there.
Okay,
So, yeah,
okay.
none at all.
So for you, it was something that you picked up in the world.
I definitely picked it up in the street, especially at school. Break time,
Okay.
you know, we're discussing, like kidding, because the guy we were listening to at the
get you.
time, we're
I get
discussing like visuals and artworks. And I'm like, whoa, what are you guys talking about?
Mm,
Because you know, mawuphumeka singezinye izinto ongazazi, like awuzazi at all. And then when you bump into these guys in the pubs, they're telling you about like, yo, there's a zine, there's hype beast, then you're like, whoa, okay, these are interesting places just to like check out stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me about how JR transitions from that young man who's now started to explore different artistic mediums, if I can say that,
Yeah.
to those teenage years, right? Because a lot of who you become starts to come out in those teenage years, right? So what happens in high school? Like, who do you become?
In high school, I become a rapper. Funny enough, like
Interesting. What was your rap name? We
JR
got it.
Ecko.
JR
I was
Ecko.
literally, my name was JR Ecko from rap days.
So give me the breakdown of that name. Where does that come from? JR being
My
little?
full name is Siyabonga Junior Ntlego.
Okay.
So JR comes from Junior.
Okay.
And then the last three letters of my surname is EKO. And we just add a C because, you know, it gotta feel and sound like a proper brand. Yeah.
So you put it together at that time and you're like, yo, this is my rap
Yeah,
name.
100%.
Let's
Like
go.
second break, I wrote it down. I'm like, this is my rap name.
Dope.
And that's when it's, kind of started.
Interesting. So now what? Do you start recording music? Are you in ciphers? Like, talk to me about...
We start making music with these bunch of friends. One of them is actually a photographer now, Stefan Obi.
Crazy.
We're in the same crew and we were rapping together. And at some point, I guess we kind of like really dropped music. We got into performing popular at the school for making music. And that was the vibe we were riding with in high school.
Dope. Okay, so the music thing... Are you still into movies at that time?
Of course. Watching
Deeper
a lot
and
of
deeper.
movies. Watching a lot of movies.
Talk to me about the end of high school, right?
Yeah.
Because now that's another pivotal moment where every 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old has to now figure out, damn, what am I going to do in terms of career paths?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Immediately after high school, I go back home for a gap year. And I'm like now in the hood trying to figure out what to do because I'm here for the year. And my mind says, I start a t-shirt brand. So I start a t-shirt brand, just make some, explicit stuff on the t-shirts, kind of picks up. And I start taking photos with my phone of the clothes because I'm trying to put it out there on Facebook. And when it lands on Facebook, it's just like, yo, man, the clothes is really dope, but like, who took these pictures? And then that hype kind of starts between the clothes and the pictures. But the pictures is taking like center stage, And it's like, yeah, that's dope, but I'm not trying to be a photographer.
I want to make clothes.
I'm trying to make clothes,
you.
So within that year, the brand kind of picks up, but primarily because of the photos. So it moves in the hood because of how cool these photos look.
I get
And then I come back after the gap year and I come back to Pretoria. And it's like, oh, damn. There's a little scene of music happening again. And because of the photography, I'm being interviewed at some podcast situation that I was at. And you won't believe who the guy behind the sound was. Focalistic.
Crazy.
Like,
what?
Focalistic 2017. And he's the guy behind the podcast. And then from there, just kind of like take photos and videos of this guy. And yeah.
Fuck. So at that time, Foca hasn't obviously.
Not at all, not even.
So
nothing.
he's still making rap.
Yeah, he's still making proper rap music.
Yes. And you guys just connect.
We connect, right? And he then now wins a competition in Pretoria called Artists on the Rise.
Yes,
And he gets to perform on the same stage
Homecoming,
as Wizkid
right?
for Homecoming.
Of course.
So I'm recording it now and we're like, yo, this guy is like lifting. Around about the same time, I also meet Mandis, her first DJ gig. Then she becomes DBN Gogo. So very now, 2016, 2018, I'm riding with these two people.
Great.
So they're just tagging me. They're just tagging me on all their photos. And that's how I kind of get into the photography thing. Yeah.
But now when do you, because I think we skipped an important part.
Yeah.
that every photographer goes through? From going from a camera phone to the camera. When do you actually pick up a camera?
I pick up a camera after the first Sonnefontein that I go to.
Okay.
Because I had put out images on Twitter and there was a big frenzy about the images. Then the guys at Homecoming called me on some, hey bro, we need you to do this for the next Sonnefontein. But we see you using a phone, so maybe you want to transition into a camera. So now that's when I pick up a camera.
What's the first camera that you use?
Canon.
Of course.
Canon 14,000D or something, 4,000D, between 1400D and the 4,000, I'm not sure.
It's interesting that most photographers start with
the most
Canon.
accessible.
Yeah, it's the most accessible one, right? And then, okay, sharp. So now, obviously, phones are created in such a way that most people can easily use them.
Yeah.
Cameras are different, right? It's more specialized. So talk to me about the journey of learning how to use the camera.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Are you on www.youtube.com? Or how do you actually start learning?
How I started learning is, I think I was privileged enough to understand technology and buttons.
Okay.
And I don't think my lesson of photography was based off of buttons. You know, I remember shooting a gig for Homecoming, but now, because I'm the younger photographer for big gigs, they bring in Austin Malema.
Of course.
So now I'm like on the ground with him. I'm like, yo, we're moving. Yo, Austin Malema, we're on the same level.
Yeah, it's true.
And I sent back the images for edits, and the guy says, oh, what is this that you're shooting? Like, what's wrong with your settings? Why are these people so sad? So then is when I'm like, okay, maybe I need to understand this thing more. Let me understand the lenses. Let me understand compositions. Let me understand the moments that make a picture. And I think for me, my photography journey was more visual literacy than like technical stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I love that you said that because you're speaking more about your taste than the technicality.
Yes.
Because taste is something that you can't transfer. You get what I mean?
100%.
So you had the taste, you just didn't have the skill. Let me ask you this question that I ask people who are self-trained.
Yeah.
Right? I have a theory that people who are self-trained excel more than people who are traditionally trained and go to school and learn about the A to Z of taking pictures.
Yeah.
Because I think, because you learn the rules as you go and you learn how to make new rules, your ceiling is way higher than someone who went to actual school for this.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that? As someone who's self-taught.
I definitely do agree with you. You know, I agree with you on the terms that there's just like, I feel like to some extent, school teaches you the technical part,
The straight
you know,
path.
and then the straight path of how to create stuff. And then at some point that becomes like your blockage because, yo, this is against the rules. But as someone that's learning it on the go, you like really relying on your instinct. Like that's all you've had, you know? So you rely on that all the time. Like, okay, and even better if you infuse the self-taught stuff and the actual, you know what I mean? So you just like going.
So an 18-year-old kid comes to JR Ecko today and is like, yo, bro, I have two paths. Either go to school and learn how to be a photographer or buy a camera, open youtube.com and learn myself. What would you advise them to do?
I definitely say go the YouTube route.
Okay.
You know, like it sounds crazy, but it's like you have a lot more to learn. You know, because funny enough, like now I work with institutions that bring people to me to learn, and it's quite ironic because it's like you guys are doing a whole syllabus with these kids, but you can't really teach them these things.
Facts.
You know, like visual literacy is a thing that nobody can teach you.
Facts.
You have to like do the watching the movies, listen to the music, do the walking, you know, just have the eye for things. And they can't really teach you that at school.
I get you. Okay, I hear that. Okay, let's get back on your timeline. So now you're moving, you've created a connection with Foca, created a connection with DBN Gogo, you're shooting a couple of events. What how do you start figuring out how to charge people? Are you even charging people? Because another thing that a lot of photographers, videographers talk about is that era when you do free shit.
Yeah.
So is that the free era for JR Ecko?
I mean, free and very minimal payments.
Okay.
And I think to some extent
What's
that's
minimal? 500
like
rand?
500 rand a month.
Okay, yeah.
You know
I
what
want
mean?
the kids to know
Yeah,
that,
like,
yo, it starts at 500
Yeah, my
rand.
first gig was like 500 rand a month. And mind you, we shoot it like Monday to Monday, or well, Friday to Monday.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, so you're on the road, and not even just like on an hourly basis. You're there with the artist the whole day. You know, so 500 a month was where I started.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, interesting. And then you obviously started building from there. How do you start growing your network?
I start growing my network when I reach out to some lady. Well, she actually reaches out to me like, yo, I see you doing quite a lot of work for a lot of artists. Is it because your work is really good, or is it because your prices are accessible? So I'm like being very boastful, and I'm like, yo, it's my work,
I'm
and
the
I'm
best.
late, I'm the new kid on the block. It's like, all right, cool, let's then sit down and see how you're charging. Bro, I'm telling you, I was charging 1.8 for shooting, creative direction, and somehow making space between studio and location for the
Crazy.
artist.
1.8.
1.8, and this is maybe as early as like 2022. So she then sits me down and she's like, there's absolutely no way this is what you're charging.
1.8.
Like, you're not charging for your gear, you're not charging for your time, you're not charging for your creativity, you're not even charging for post-production. You're just so happy to shoot that you're literally doing this thing for free. And then she flips up the whole script on me. She's like, yo, I'm going to show you what an actual shoot should be looking like. And she draws up like a whole invoice, you know, with line items. And I'm like, whoa, line items?
I didn't even know this.
You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden, bro, we're like charging like 20, 30K for a shoot. And it's like, whoa, you're just able to pick up like the things that people actually need to pay us for. So that's when it changes. But even that in itself is a crazy conversation to go from like 1.8 to 20K. So wild times.
Shit.
Wild times.
And it's so crazy how just a little bit of information like that can change, which is why people who go the traditional way of going to school will be like, you see, you were charging niggas 1.8 when you could have been.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're live on Dead Radio. And you're live on Dead Radio.
But you had to now learn that on your own. Interesting. I'm always interested in how people develop their own style, right? In the different crafts, whether you're making music, making t-shirts. Because what usually happens is creatives, they're inspired to follow a path, pick up a camera, make t-shirts, and then they have idols. They're like, yo, I'm gonna make t-shirts like Virgil.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take pictures like JR. How did you start figuring out your fingerprint, right? Because I'm obsessed with fingerprints.
So if you then go back to the story, we then remember how much movies and cartoons I was watching.
Yes.
And then how much music. So visually, a lot of stuff is like coming from the movies. A lot of stuff is coming from like listening to the Kanye's and like seeing what the visuals of that stuff looks like. You know, so it's like, okay, cool. I once remember a scene from this movie. Let me try to take a picture, reenact this picture. And then it turns out that like this becomes my style over the years. And then I guess at some point it becomes influenced by the fact that I'm like living in South Africa, and it's like, yo man, sci-fi is not a real thing out here. Like you need to bring it back to a local thing, you know? And that's how
your
style comes about. Also, I guess the access of people that I had were just like my friends, you know, so I was grabbing a lot of like their faces, their style, their street swag, you know, the places that they would find and go to, and that kind of became the style
I get you. Yeah, that the evolution of the style is always interesting to me because it takes a while for people to find their voice. Right? And yeah, I love that. And then talk to me about actually becoming a master at your craft, right?
Yeah.
For a musician, they'll record 100 songs, and every song they keep getting better and better. A fine artist will have to paint 100 paintings and keep getting better. How do you practically become better and better and better at photography?
You gotta take more pictures.
Okay.
You gotta take more pictures. Like for me, that's the one thing. Even in the space and time that I'm at now, half my shoots of the year are just test shoots. Because sometimes, like, if I rely on client work, I never really get to the style and the way that I want to work. So I'm always doing test shoots. It's like spending hours in the gym, really.
I get you.
like,
I get you.
yeah.
And that's how you're constantly working on. Interesting. I think, okay, let's get back on the timeline. When do you first get a call from an artist to shoot an album art cover? Because that then becomes, that's different from just taking pictures, press pictures of an artist, right? Because album art lives for forever. You get me?
Yeah.
So when do you get that opportunity, and who's the first artist to be like,
That's
yo?
a very good question. That's a very good question. Crazy enough, it might be between Uncle Waffles and Kabza.
Crazy.
I think it's Uncle Waffles. I definitely think it's Uncle Waffles with Red Dragon, which is the first project.
The bike.
Yes.
Yes.
So when that whole Uncle Waffles hype thing happens, part of the things that were being planned was the artwork and the music dropping. So Uncle Waffles was the first person.
And then talk to me about process, right? Say, who can I use right now? A Baby Days, right? Calls JR Ecko today and is like, yo, I'm putting out an album in 3 months. What's the process? And they're like, yo, I need you to shoot the most iconic album art of all time. What happens from that phone call? What's the process?
From the phone call itself is like the conversation of what the body of work is.
Okay.
You know, what the artist actually wants to speak with that body of work. And then from there, it's just like, please actually send me the music so I know what we're creating for. So most times I like listen to the album a month before.
Okay.
And then we'd get into like concept designing. I'd come up with maybe 3 or 4 options to say, look, from the music, this is what I've heard, this is what I'm understanding from the story that you also want to tell.
Yes.
And these are my proposed ideas. Yeah.
Do you, because I know the money's more on one side than the other, but do you prefer shooting artists or brands? Because obviously brands, there's a bigger budget, right?
Yeah.
But emotionally, because you're a music guy, the music like creation or the artwork that goes with the music like would probably emotionally be closer for you. Which one do you prefer?
I think for me it's always the artist, because I get a lot of creative freedom with the artist. I also get a lot of eyes on my work with the artist compared to brands.
Of course.
Because with brands, sometimes you can't really put out the work, but with artists, because the thing lives forever. And I think that's always the love for me, that like, if you can find art that actually lives forever, and music feels like that, you know, it feels like, yo, I still remember, you know, Carter 5 and Carter 4, and like I still remember those images vividly. And that's maybe going to be one of the most iconic images we're going to have in our times. Like in South African times, like artworks.
I feel you. When does it start hitting you mentally that I need to take my images from just pixels to garments, right? Is that you? Is that it, life going full circle from you when you started the fashion stuff? And then going into photography and then be like, oh yeah, shit, can I actually wanted to make clothes? Like, talk to me about that process.
I think being as in tune with the concept designing and creative direction in my photography allowed me to like find other things that I was good at. So I realized like, oh, maybe I really do like fashion. It wasn't just like a phase after high school. And then it's like, oh, maybe I do like music videos. Maybe I do like this and that, you know? And I think that's the mindset that I'm in now. I'm like, oh, actually, maybe I'm a better creative director than a photographer, because it's like you know how to think of ideas, you know how to hear good things and see good things. You know what I mean?
Taste.
Yeah, you have that tasting.
Taste,
So now I'm like,
bro.
okay, maybe I'm more of a creative director than a
Than a
photographer. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. In Johannesburg alone, there's 10,000 photographers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you remove yourself from the 10,000 to the 100 to the 50 to the 20 who are actually making real money in this game? Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to the center of the truth of like, yo, what should a kid do today who's really fucking dope, but there's 10,000 of them?
Yeah.
Like, how do you brand yourself?
I think what's very important is just like narrowing down exactly what it is that you want to be as an artist, the type of work that you want to shoot. You know, I say like a lot of, out of the 10,000, you find people do like events, you do product shoots, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you just narrow it down to this is who I am, this is the story that I'd like to tell, and this is the type of taste that comes with my photography, and I'm going to stick through it where the trends come and go. And then and even beyond that, find ways to innovate that for yourselves, you know? Like that's the choice.
I think from your work, anyone who's like paying attention will be able to tell how much sci-fi plays such a big role in your creative taste.
Yeah.
Why sci-fi? Talk to me about what's your favorite sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Just talk to me about that world. Science fiction.
I've been thinking about that a lot, right? And I'm working on, I was telling you, I'm working on a body of work called Future Nostalgia, right? And it's taking me back to these sci-fi movies, and I always just find it interesting that sci-fi has a way of telling the future.
That's true.
You'd hardly find a sci-fi movie about the past,
yes.
right? And we then grow up in the notion of Africa is the future, Africa is the future. And I've heard this for so long throughout my years, and it's like, what does that actually look like? You know, like we always see it in the context of a real sci-fi movie, and maybe Wakanda is the closest reality that we've seen of like an African sci-fi world and a futuristic world of Africa.
That's true.
So that's where I'm sitting at like, okay, these sci-fi movies were dope, but they were never built in our country.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So what does that look like for black people? What does that look like for people of color? So that's where now the sci-fi world comes in, because I want to tell the story of the future. I think we have so many images of the past,
yes,
but we're never really like projecting ourselves to what the future of Africa is. Yeah.
The future of Africa. I think this is the perfect place, and you're the perfect person to discuss what I like to call the most disruptive technology of our time. Even bigger than the internet, even bigger than the smartphone, AI. You're obviously one of the people who was at the forefront of like using AI in your workflow. And then now, right now, currently the big conversation is AI in music, hit songs being made. Is it real? Is it not? Should people be purists? Should they not? What's your perspective on AI, and how has it helped you in your workflow?
I think how I even get introduced to AI first is coming from a problem of there's so much spaces and worlds that we have in our country that we don't have access to because umthetho awuvumi. And it's like, yo, dude, you're asking me to limit all my thinking based off of like places that give me access to work. And we then say we have freedom, but that's a conversation for another day,
time.
Right? So then now you then sit and you're like, okay, cool. There's this powerful assistant that comes up that allows you to be at the level playing field with the guy sitting in Hollywood and you in Africa with all these problems, and you're being told, nah, don't partake.
Of course.
And it's like, whoa, you guys are asking me not to, like this thing is helping my workflow, it's helping me create CGI objects easier, it's helping me create environments that don't exist but live in my head only, and you guys are telling me I can't use it. That doesn't make sense to me, you know? So now I look at it and I'm like, I get the fear. I get we're living in a country where the socio-economic issues always sound threatening to people's jobs. And it's like, yo, but that's the help. Like, how
Exactly.
do I tell you that's the, without sounding like I'm saying, yo, don't be a purist or don't be this or don't be that. But it's like, that's the juice. Like, I gotta tell you, that's the juice now.
It's
Like,
right
take it
there.
now, Like, I'm seeing it now, bro. Literally just today, I got an email that says AI campaign. And it's like, whoa, okay, we're there now.
This is where we're
we're
at
there
right
now.
now.
Like, we're there now. But that's...
And what do you say to people who are like, we're going to lose the essence of creativity? Whatever that means.
Before there's AI, there's HI, right? AI needs the input of human intelligence.
Of course, prompt.
So find that thing that makes you the intelligent human being that you are, take that thing and use it on the AI and convert and make your money.
I think right now, the only thing that's going to distinguish everyone's work, which has been the number one thing I've always thought, is taste.
Yeah.
What is your taste? What's your perspective on the world? Because yes, we all have access to AI, but what's your taste? What do you think is dope? You get what I mean?
100%. And that's what the world has come to, whether it's even before AI, and I was like, on Instagram, your reels, your whatever, like, what is the thing that's bringing people to watch you? Why are you so interesting?
Yes.
And that's what the world is going to come to. Like, I'm excited for that.
It's so sick, right?
Because as a purist in what I do, I think that's when a lot of people are going to get like, left behind, because like now you can't be creative. You relied on the technicality of the camera for so long that now we don't need to use the camera
At
anymore.
all, my dog, right? I completely, a lot of guys are going to be mad and be like, nah, fuck that. But it's literally like, so I watched a documentary about just how technologies have evolved, right?
Yeah.
And people used to paint people before there was a camera.
Yeah.
And then once they invented a camera, the people used to paint were like, oh my God, it's over, creativity. And it's just like the TV or the radio or the cell phone. It's like every time a new technology comes up, people are like, oh, this is going to ruin everything. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
You just have to keep it moving. I think one of the most important and distinguishing things about you as a photographer is that, or visual artist, right?
Thank you for that.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that you're a creative director, right? Now, I want to get to the meat and bones of what that actually means. Because a lot of kids, and let me say the world that we live in post Virgil Abloh, creative director is the most popular job in the space that we exist in, right? And I blame Virgil.
100%.
Virgil's the one who made it cool, and then he didn't break down to niggas, yo, this is actually what it means to be a creative director. So what does that mean in the work that you do?
In the work that I do, it first establishes me as a guy with taste and a style, right? But beyond that, being a person that has enough skill in different facets to say I'm able to explain lighting to the lighting guy, I'm able to explain makeup to the makeup artist, I'm able to request styling from the stylist. I kind of understand all of these lines of production, and I am then the link between the main creative, and then what the brand or the artist needs from all of these artists. So you almost become like a glue or conduit that brings together
everything,
all these different types of artists.
So for a lot of kids who have creative director in their bio, but they haven't done anything, would you advise someone to go and learn all the different departments and then figure out how they all come together before they call themselves a creative director? Or How do you think people should work their way towards being a creative director?
I think you gotta do the one thing first.
Okay.
Like find one good thing that you're good at.
Take pictures.
And then you're like, oh, I understand my creativity from this perspective. Then from there it's like, oh, because I work with so many people on set, I can then start asking questions to the stylist. I can then start asking questions to the lighting guy. And like form those years of knowledge of just like, I know all of these different things and I know how they actually work. I might not be great at all of them, but I at least know how to explain to someone what the creative is, you know?
I get
So,
that,
yeah.
I get that. And then eventually
Yeah.
build up to creative
Yeah.
director. Yeah, because there's too many creative director bios and
100%.
not enough direction of creativity at
Thing
all.
is, these days, also there's a very big confusion between grabbing a Pinterest pin and
Yeah.
making a mood board and then saying you're the creative director.
Director.
But that's,
Yeah.
you gotta let them be.
I feel you. What's your perspective on the visual landscape in South Africa, your peers, the work that they're doing? Do you even tap in and watch what other people are doing? Just the visual landscape in South Africa.
Visually, I feel like a lot of the artists have become entrepreneurs, where now money matters more than the art, where now we have then suffered the consequences of living through events and seeing photography through just events and not so much storytelling, you know. And funny enough, like for me, I kind of felt like that was the same thing that was happening to me because of how much work I do in that space. And then it takes like a guy like Speed coming to South Africa and you watch the stream and you're like, why am I shocked that there's white people in Ethiopia?
Facts.
Like, am I not educating myself on this continent that I'm living in? Is it not enough stories also coming out from the artists to me to say, oh, here's what Africa looks like in 2026? You know, I feel like we just see a lot of pretty women, a lot of ass.
That's facts.
I don't know if
bro.
that's where the photography
That's
space
facts.
is at.
So you feel like not enough stories are being told?
Nah.
I think so too, bro. I think we are all focused on the event story.
And the influencers.
And the
And the
influence.
bad bitches.
Yes.
And the BBLs.
Yes. And that's not storytelling
No.
at all, right? If you pick up a magazine from the 2000s,
Yeah.
my dog, it's like the amount of storytelling that used to go into that. But then that goes into my theory of digital art versus analog art, right? You're a digital art person,
Yeah.
but you appreciate analog because you spoke about like how your friends introduced you to like Hype Beast magazines
Yeah.
and all those things, right? I think digital art is wasteful because we have memory cards.
Yes.
We'll be like, bro, I'll take 10,000 pictures and I'll pick one
Yeah.
from them, right? But with analog, like with film, you had to be like,
I have to be sure
make
here.
sure.
I have to be sure, 100%.
Right? So it's tricky. But now we're in the digital age. It's too late. It's too late. We're inside.
Eish.
I get that. Yeah, the storytelling thing is the one. But how do people get better at telling stories, bro?
I just feel like we need to strip away the facadeness of social media. You know, like always having to be clean, always having to be like, you know, well coordinated. And it's like, no, but that's not the reality of anybody's life. You know, like the streets that you live in, they have cracks.
That's true.
You know, they have potholes. You don't always have to find the most refined, you know, backdrop in ROSEBANK for the image to be dope.
That's true.
You know, it's just like, take it as it is. Like, we need to just go back to, this is how your country actually looks. We don't have to do the polishing and the face beauty and
I get you. Everything is too clean. Everything is too polished.
Yeah.
Take it back.
Please.
Damn.
Please.
I think we've spoken a lot about the successes,
Yeah.
right? But I want to tap into the other part of the journey, failures,
Yeah.
right? Talk to me about dealing with failures, setbacks, wanting to quit. I feel like every creative goes through this, if not weekly, daily, right? Of like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, this is shit. This guy's better than me. How do you deal with the dark cloud that hovers?
Firstly, I do a lot of exercises.
Okay.
Like I try to keep physically fit.
Are you a running guy? Are you
I'm a
gym
boxing guy.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
I do boxing.
Dope.
And then the other would just be like praying, bro. You know, there's a lot of times where people want to tell you there's so many other remedies, therapy, wah. And it's just like sometimes just pray.
I get
You
that.
know, just like read the Bible, hear what it says about failure, hear what it says about anxiety, hear what it says about all these things that you kind of struggle with, and then try implement them in your actual life.
I love the spiritual element because, like, there's so much that's happening in our lives that you can't see with the eye, right? Which deals with, like, the spiritual realm. And being spiritually grounded will save you from a lot of
100%.
shit, bro. I get
100%.
that. What other mediums do you tap into that feed the main thing?
Switch off your phone. Like, mangacimi your phone yakho for a day, or like get off the apps, you know, and actually just find the pockets of gratitude in your actual real life. That's the other one, you know. For me, it's just like I can just switch off this phone, just listen to music, chill with my friends, you know, do something, sit on grass.
I get you.
You know, just come back to like usiyabonga, because sometimes it's just like JR Ecko's phone call, this meeting, and it's like, no, bro, just go sit with your moms.
I get you.
And just be her kid, you know. So it'll be a lot of different things.
I get you. That pour back into the main thing.
Yeah.
For someone who gets to the place that you're at in your career, right? People always think that it's just you by yourself, right? But if you know that to get to where you're at, you have a team, right? But now picking the right people for your team is so difficult.
100%.
How do you go about that? Like, how do you, like, is it just talent? Is it something more intangible, right? Because, like, skills can be transferred.
Yeah.
You can teach me how to take
100%.
a dope picture,
Yeah.
but there are other things that come with being a dope person in the room. So what do you look for when you're looking for people to put in your team?
Initially, I started off with friends, right? And then I realized that maybe my friends don't have the same eagerness and passion that I have for this. Started finding people in my DMs that were like always screaming and shouting like, I want to work with you, I want to work with you. So I just started giving those people a chance, and from there were like a couple of people that really came there and picked up the C-stand, picked up the sandbag, and like, we're here to actually work. And then from there I was like, oh, here's like 1 or 2 people that I think have the same driving force as me. So I've been moving with those same people since.
I get you. Are there intangible skills that you look for? Intangible skills are politeness, shaking everyone's hand and looking them in the eye, being early. Like, are there things like that you look for?
One of the most important ones for me is, 1, being a dreamer. 2, being like a people's person. Like, we work with so many people with so many egos, and if you cannot stand people, then we can't work together, because like amanzi ala.
I get
and it's like,
you.
now you mad, and it's like, yo,
you.
bro, we deal with people, and just honesty, you know, and it's just like responsibility and accountability.
I get you.
Those are the really big ones for me.
You spoke about ego, right? And in the creative field, ego's such a big thing, right? A lot of people let their ego walk into the room before them, right? Now, ego is an important thing, but too much ego can inflate who you think you are and who you actually are. How do you balance your ego? Do you?
I don't even think I have an ego. Fethi mina ngumuntu wabantu, ngithanda abantu.
Dope.
So every chance that I get to meet someone is like I realize that it's not about me, but about this person that I'm meeting. Like for me, I am a fan of a lot of the people that I work with. So by the time I meet them, I'm like, oh my God, I get to spend time with this person, you know?
get
And like I get to find out, like, why did you say this on the song? How do you actually think? What's your favorite color? You know, so those are the things for me. I'm just
You
like,
remain a fan
yeah,
of the
yeah.
art.
I don't even think of an ego thing, man.
Do you have people in your real life who you ask their creative opinions on work that you're working on? Like people who'll tell Sia the truth and not be like, yo, JR Ecko, everything that you do is amazing. Like, do you have those people where you're like, ish, dog?
I do. I actually, funny enough, most of them are actually artists.
Dope.
But it's like, because we're able to just be friends with each other, it's like, yo, bro, nah, that shit ain't banging.
I love
like, that shit ain't banging.
I love
like,
that.
yo, go change it up. Go try again. Maybe reshoot this thing. But I see you.
I get you. I get you. If we were to take all of JR's work, right, and then compress it into a book, right, what would the foreword of that book say? Basically, what I'm trying to get to is, what do you want people to understand in summary from the work that you do?
I want people to understand that as a child born in Africa, that should have never been your limitation. That should never be a thing that is one at disadvantage. Is understanding the advantage of color, the advantage of the culture and geographical location that you've been placed in, and understanding that like in your bloodline is storytelling. In your bloodline is like fana, your melanin that makes you rich in so many ways.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir.
And I want to go down as like an artist that told stories of happy black people in color, you know, and imagined a life of black people that was without suffering.
I feel you. Whew. Without suffering. I have a contrary belief about pain and suffering. I think pain and suffering is such an important part in life. Because if you didn't feel pain, if you didn't suffer, how can you enjoy bliss?
Yes.
Because it's just normal. You can't have good days if you don't have bad days.
True.
Right? So that's just my perspective.
True,
like,
but then now I challenge you and say, if we then open the library of South Africans,
Suffering.
do all our images have to be black and white
They
and
don't.
of people suffering?
They don't.
Like when we would just get to a nice image of a person that owns a BMW and
You're
it's just like looking cool.
And they existed in those times.
And they had the suffering and
You're
pain, but
right.
it doesn't have to be like our front cover story every
You're
time.
right. You're right. You're right.
You know, I think in 2026 especially, like as black people we've enjoyed a few successes. I get like it's not like the full pie, but we're at a point where we can look good, you know,
You're
we can
right.
buy the things we can buy and we
right.
can tell the story in color.
You're right.
You know?
You're
So-
right. You're right. Black people have romanticized suffering, and the world has also made us love the, I'm from the hood, and I had to. But yo, life is beautiful, and black people are beautiful.
Yeah.
So you're right. We need to balance it.
Because imagine also the power you'd have as a creative that lives in LA. You could come from South Africa, but your story is not of you here because you were selling poverty porn on the net.
You're right.
Like,
You're right.
you
Yeah,
know?
we gotta cut the poverty porn.
Nah,
I'm not
bro.
with that shit.
It's tiring, bro. Like Travis Scott don't want to know that about me. Like, what are the cool people in South Africa doing in 2026?
I feel
you know,
you.
what's the story right now in 2026? What's the reality?
I feel you.
The past is dope. We're not forgetting the past, but it's like we got to tell the future as well. And what are we projecting as our lives into the future?
The future. Do you have steps that you take to keep innovating? Innovation is such a It's another intangible thing. You can't touch it. You can't
Yeah.
teach it.
Yeah.
What are the things you keep doing or steps that you follow to keep innovating in your work? Like, are these conscious things or are they subconscious things?
They're very conscious. They're very conscious. I think, like, from a hip hop perspective, when you look like at a Jigga bringing up Kanye or a Jigga bringing up Cole, is understanding that, like, yo, you gotta be teachable and you gotta always be allowing of younger people to tell you what's going on, you know? So I spend a lot of time with, like, people that are new in the scene.
Okay.
I spend a lot of time with different types of artists,
I get
you know? And
you.
beyond that, it's like I self-educate a lot. Like I watch a lot of documentaries, I watch a lot of podcasts, I watch a lot of things. I have books, magazines.
You're a student.
Yeah, I'm always learning.
Okay.
I'm always learning.
Yeah, from the best in their crafts, one golden thread I find is that remain a student.
Yeah.
No matter what
Yeah.
happens. Okay. What is the future for JR Ecko? What are we rolling out? What are we looking at? What are the new mediums we want to touch? Obviously, you can't give us everything, but like, where's your mind looking in 2026?
My mind right now is understanding that, like, I am actually a multidisciplinary artist.
Yes.
And as much as people love me for my photography, I think it's probably the right time for me to, like, go into other artistry that I do possess. You know, one of them is like fashion. You know, the second is like directing. You know, the other being like just finding cool events to curate for people to really appreciate the work that I do.
I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Those are the ones. Interesting. I guess all of us as fans of JR Ecko, we can't wait to see
Yeah.
where he takes it, right? But as we wind down the conversation, right? What's JR Ecko's last piece of advice to the 18-year-old, to the 17-year-old? If you were 18 in 2026 today and someone gave you a Canon,
Yeah.
how would you go about building your name in 2026? 0 followers, 0 contacts. You never met Foka, you never met Mandisa. You don't know anyone, but you have taste and you have the eye. What's your advice to that person?
I think my first advice would be understand what the story that you want to tell is. You know,
Okay.
before even touching the camera.
Okay.
Like, understand where in the world you want to be positioned and what story you want to tell to those people, you know, that are around you. And then secondly would just be like, trust your instinct. You know, like, there's a lot of noise from a lot of different directions, parents, social media, whatever. But I just feel like the one thing that spiritually you always get the inkling for something that is yours and meant for you to do. And it's like, you have to trust it beyond all of that. Yeah.
I get you.
It's difficult. I mean, it got me disowned in my family. But it's like,
Damn.
I persevered through that. You get the inkling, you know what your body, your mind, your soul tells you. Like, this is what I want to do. I love this thing. I'm always here. I'm always paging this book. I'm always on this page. Like, that's what you want to do. You know, like, trust it. I wish I found out what I was good at a younger age.
What you That's interesting. Do you believe in talent?
Yeah.
So you believe that people are born with an innate talent to do specific things?
100%.
But do you believe that anyone can develop any skill that they want?
I mean, if you give yourself enough time and dedication, sure. Like, I don't think anything is impossible.
So how much does talent play in this?
Being able to do will never make, it doesn't mean you're great. It means you're able to do. That's the minimum requirement, being able to do something. But also you need to be able to say, okay, I know how to do this, but I'm not great at that.
Okay, 2 people. One has talent, the eye.
Yeah.
The other one doesn't have talent, doesn't have the eye.
Yeah.
but has the desire over the person with the talent, who's gonna get to the top?
Desire will always push you further, but desire with talent will.
Yeah, of
will-
course.
You know what I
of
mean?
course.
Yeah.
I like to debate talent versus desire because
I get exactly where you're.
the talent thing blocks a lot of kids' brains because they're like, I wasn't born with whatever, I'm not fast enough, or
Yeah,
I'm not,
yeah.
I don't have the eye. But I believe desire is way more important than
100%.
talent.
No, how, without
Like,
a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Like, you know, a lot of talented people that like
Hey,
became absolutely nothing.
nothing.
Like, but people that want it will rock you. They will come for absolutely everything with zero talent, and you'll be shocked when with the talent that like, oh,
Facts.
I had everything.
And talented guys are very entitled. They're like, bro, the world owes me everything.
Come on.
The world owes
Nah,
you.
you gonna
fuck
get
all.
left behind with talent, bro.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Njaka,
My brother.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back with another episode of Dead Radio from your boy Ini.